Hey leader, and welcome to another episode of the L3 Leadership Podcast, where we are obsessed with helping you grow to your maximum potential and to maximize the impact of your leadership. My name is Doug Smith, and I am your host, and today's episode is brought to you by my friends at Baritone Advisors. We also recorded this episode live from the new Return.com studio. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here, and I hope that you'll enjoy our content and become a subscriber. Know that you can also watch all of our episodes over on our YouTube channel, so make sure you're subscribed there as well. And as always, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while and it's impacted your life, make sure that you are subscribed, and it would mean the world to me if you would leave us a rating and review as well on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever app you listen to podcasts through. That really does help us to grow our audience and reach more leaders, so thank you in advance for that. Well, leader, in today's episode, you're going to hear me share a personal lesson on the subject of 3 reasons that you and your team need to attend our L3 One-Day Leadership Conference in 2024. And we couldn't be more excited. On Thursday, February 29th, we are going to be hosting our 3rd L3 One-Day Conference. Our keynote speaker is going to be Horst Shultze, the founder of the Ritz Carlton. And the conference will be right here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at Northway Christian Community's Swickley campus. And so you are not going to want to miss this. Registration is open officially. You can go to l3oneday.com to get more information. But this isn't just about attending L3 One Day. This lesson's really about why you need to make leadership conferences an annual part of your personal growth plan. And so I hope it'll add value to you, but before we dive into the lesson, just a few announcements. This episode of the L3 Leadership Podcast is sponsored by Baritone Advisors. The financial advisors at Baritone Advisors help educate and empower clients to make informed financial decisions. You can find out how Baritone Advisors can help you develop a customized financial plan for your financial future by visiting their website at baritoneadvisors.com. That's BERATUNG advisors.com. Securities and investment products and services offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA and SIPC. Baritone Advisors, LPL Financial, and L3 Leadership are separate entities. I also want to thank our sponsor, Henny Jewelers. They're a jeweler owned by my friend and mentor, John Henny. And my wife, Laura, and I got our engagement and wedding rings through Henny Jewelers and had an incredible experience. And not only do they have great jewelry, but they also invest in people. In fact, for every couple that comes in engaged, they give them a book to help them prepare for marriage. And we just love that. So if you're in need of a good jeweler, check out hennyjewelers.com. And I also want to thank our new sponsor, Return.com. And leader, let me just ask you this. Have you ever had an interest in investing in real estate? Well, now for as little as $500, you can become a commercial real estate investor. Just visit Return.com to learn more. That's REITURN.com. Investing involves risk. Please consult the Return Offering Circular if you're interested in investing. Hey leader, today I'd like to talk to you on the subject, 3 reasons that you need to be in the room at our L3 One-Day Leadership Conference in 2024. And that's right, we're hosting our 3rd L3 One-Day Leadership Conference on Thursday, February 29th, 2024, right here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We'll be hosting it at our Northway Community Church's Swickley campus, which is a beautiful facility. And we couldn't be more excited. Our keynote speaker this year is going to be Horst Shultze, who is the founder of the Ritz Carlton. We're really excited to have him in. And I'll be talking more about the details of the conference later. But for now, if you're interested in learning more about the conference and actually registration is now open. You can go to l3oneday.com. Again, that's l3oneday.com, and we would love to see you in the room on Thursday, February 29th. So that said, today I am going to be talking to you about 3 reasons why you need to come to our L3 One-Day Conference. But in general, I'm going to be really telling you 3 reasons why you need to have leadership conferences on your calendar every single year to help you grow and develop. But before I dive into those 3 reasons, I simply want to give you some history and background on our L3 One-Day Conference. I started going to leadership conferences very early on. From the time I was 18, I went to the Global Leadership Summit every year and several other conferences, and my life has been dramatically impacted and transformed by going to events. And I want to say around 2007, I started having a dream that one day maybe I could host my own leadership conference, because just with anything that I experience, I always want to bring you along in the journey with me, and I want to help other people experience the transformation that I've experienced. And so I always have had my eyes set on hosting a conference. Well, like many things in my life, it took me a long time for that to come to pass. It actually took me 12 years, but we hosted our first L3 One-Day Leadership Conference in 2019. We had 220 leaders in the room. It was incredible. And then we went to host it a second year, and then COVID hit literally 2 days before our conference, and we had to cancel. And so we weren't able to host our second conference until 2022. And then here we are now going into our 3rd year. But really, the vision for the conference is we want to help leaders grow their leadership. We want to help them grow their network and to grow their future. That's the whole purpose. We want to get leaders in a room. One of our values is community, and we believe that no leader should ever do life alone, but in community. And to actually build community, you actually have to be in person building real relationships. And I found that in my experience, nothing replaces actually being in the room and connecting with leaders. And so some of the aspiring thoughts that help us have vision for the conference are: number one, you are one idea and one connection away from changing your destiny. That's one of the reasons we host L3 One Day, because we believe leaders can get one idea and one connection at the conference that can change their destiny forever. And we've seen that happen over and over again. Just in the 2 years that we've hosted the conference, it's been incredible to hear the stories that have come out of that. Number two, we believe that transformation doesn't just happen by listening to lessons. It happens by actually life-on-life connections. And that's why, we live in a day where you can watch a million talks online, and you're going to be able to watch talks from L3 One Day online. But again, it doesn't replace that life-on-life connection. There's something about it. You need to be in the room. And number three, the reason we started the conference is because we have no idea who we are developing, who we're investing in, and what's going to happen into their life and what will be set into motion as a result. And again, I've shared many, many times things that have happened as a result of us starting L3 leadership. We've seen babies be adopted. We've seen people be saved. We've seen people leave their corporate job to start their own company. It's just been incredible. And so we get excited every year just dreaming about what could happen. What's the one idea that's going to happen this year? What's the one connection that's going to happen that's going to change someone's life forever? What's going to be set into motion? And so those are some of the reasons that we have this conference. And so why should you attend? 3 reasons. Number one, you need to grow your leadership. Right? You need to grow your leadership, right? We know this, that everyone wins when a leader gets better. And I've also found that everyone loses when a leader doesn't get better. And so leader, if you're going to get better, then it has to be on purpose. And I talk to leaders all the time about you need to have a personal growth plan. And here's what I know about personal growth. You're going to grow today by the mentors that you have in your life, by the books that you read or listen to, the podcasts that you listen to, and the experiences that you experience. And one of those experiences is by putting yourself in rooms with leaders that are bigger than you, that you can learn from. Again, you're one leadership idea or principle away from changing the destiny of your leadership journey. And so if you want to grow your leadership, I can't encourage you enough to have an annual leadership conference on your calendar. And I really want to encourage you to make that L3 One Day this year. The other thing that I would say is it's also a way to invest and grow your team's leadership. If you're responsible for leading others, you know that part of your responsibility as a leader is to grow them. And one great way to grow your team is to bring them to a conference together, because it's an opportunity for them to bond together. It's an opportunity to let them know that you want to invest in them and that you value them. It's also an opportunity to help them grow. And maybe you're sitting here and you're saying, well, I don't have a team. Well, are there other people that you could invest in, potential leaders, emerging leaders, people that you want to help grow that you could invite? Bring people with you. This is huge. If you want to grow others, you have to bring other people with you around the journey. So the first reason you need to attend L3 One Day is to grow your leadership and to also grow your team's leadership. Number two is to grow your network. And again, this is the tagline of our conference. It's a one-day leadership conference to grow your leadership, grow your network, and to grow your future. So number two is to grow your network. And this is the whole tagline of you are one relationship away from changing your destiny. One relationship. You have no idea when it'll happen or how it'll happen and how it'll change your life. I can't tell you how many leaders that I've met at conferences and events that have become mentors or have become a podcast interview. I remember Clint Hurdle, the former manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates, was on my bucket list forever. And I just wanted to interview him so bad. And he happened to be at an event that I went to. And I had a mutual connection who introduced me at the event. And I asked him to be on the podcast. And we ended up developing a wonderful friendship and mentorship just through that one connection. And it would have never happened if I wasn't in the room. You know, at our last L3 One Day Leadership Conference, I remember a woman who leads the local Big Brothers and Big Sisters organization here in Pittsburgh. She came up to me and she said, "Thank you so much for putting on this conference." We had Andy Toole, who's the head basketball coach at Robert Morris University, speak. And she said, we went up to Andy after his talk and connected with him. And now he's actually connecting all of the athletes that he oversees. He's helped making them be big brothers and big sisters to our littles that they call them, or mentoring young kids in their organization. And that wouldn't have happened had we not had a room or a conference that brings people together. They grew their network. This is huge. And I would also say this when it comes to networking, sometimes it's not the lesson that you need, but it's the life of a leader. And the ROI that you get from a conference may not be from one of the talks or the idea, but it may be from a conversation that you had with a leader that you met. There's a guy I admire greatly named Dan Sullivan, and he leads an organization called Strategic Coach. And I want to say that on average, to be in his program is between $10,000 and $50,000 to be in one of his programs. And he always shares a story that he hosted one of his programs, and they were going through the day, and one of the program participants came up to him and said, Dan, the content here is okay. Some of the stuff I've learned before, but I got all the value I needed. I just met this guy, and it's going to change everything. But I guess I have to ask you, like, what am I paying for? I'm not really paying for the content. Like, what's the value in this? And Dan replied to him, he said, yeah, but who created the environment for you to get that relationship that you got? That would have never happened had this environment not be set. And that's how I feel about L3 One Day. Like, your value may not be in getting a principle that someone shared from stage, but it may be the one connection that changes everything for you, that provides 100x return on the value of your ticket and being in the room. So you need to be in the room, leaders. You need to grow your network. And then number 3 is grow your future. Grow your future. The reality is you have no idea what will be set into motion in your life through a conference. It may be an idea that you get that changes the trajectory of your life. It may be a connection that leads to a mentoring relationship or a business partnership. It may be finally getting the courage that you needed to go after your dream. It may lead to you getting your next promotion or your next job. It could be a bonding experience that your team needed. And it could be that your team just realized that you value them because for the first time ever, you invested in them. And so it's a great way to grow your future. But here's what I know. If you don't put yourself in the room, you don't know what you missed out on. You just don't. You don't know what ideas and connections that you could have had that you didn't because you didn't go in the room. And so my question to you is simply this: leader, will you join me on Thursday, February 29th at our L3 One Day conference? It's a day where I guarantee that you're going to grow your leadership, you're going to grow your network, and you're going to grow your future. The details of the event, again, this can all be found at l3oneday.com. Again, that's l3oneday.com. But it's on Thursday, February 29th, 2024 at Northway Community Church's Swickley campus. Our keynote speaker is Horst Shultze. He's the founder of the Ritz Carlton, and we'll have our entire speaker series lineup out soon. So be looking for that. It's going to be an all-star lineup that add massive value to your life. And the last thing I'll say, some of you have attended L3 One Day. You might say, well, what's going to be different this year than in past years? Well, I have a really exciting partnership to tell you about. About a year ago, I got invited to speak at a leadership conference in Florida. And the guy that put on the conference, his name is Matt Higgins. And I went to this event and I was blown away by the level of excellence that the conference was put on. The entire experience was unbelievable. And I thought, this is what L3 One Day needs to look like from an experience level and an excellence level. And long story short, I became friends with Matt, who hosted the conference, and we started talking. We both lead large nonprofits and are very busy. And we just talked about it's really hard to have the capacity to put on an event. And we started talking and we said, what if we partnered together and put on an event together? And so that's what we've decided to do. And so Matt is bringing all of his skill sets around excellence and creating a 5-star experience to L3 One Day this year. So if you've attended in the past, I'm telling you, it's going to be 10x the experience that it was in years past. If you've never been, get ready to be blown away. It's going to be a wonderful day. And leader, I just want to encourage you, if you want to help, there's several ways that you can get involved. Number 1, attend the conference. We'd love to have you in the room. Our goal is to have 400 leaders in the room. That's our capacity. So that happens one person at a time. And not only you attend, if you have a team or an organization that you lead, bring your team. I had one guy that I followed up with, a leader of an organization. He came up to me after our last conference and he said, oh, I'm bringing at least 20 of my clients to next year's conference. I can't wait. And so maybe there's clients or there's vendors that you can bring as well, but help us get people in the room. Maybe you also want to become a financial sponsor. We have plenty of sponsorship opportunities. Again, you'll be able to find those on the website. So you can sponsor the event, and there's different levels of benefits based on the sponsorship level. But help us put this on financially. That would be huge. If you're a person of faith, pray for us. Pray that God would do things that only He can do in and through the speakers, and then through all the connections that are formed. And then you can also volunteer. We need people to help actually put on the conference. We need people to help plan, to greet, to park, and so many different areas. So if you're interested in any of those things, getting involved, email me at dougsmith@l3leadership.org. Again, that's dougsmith@l3leadership.org, or you can go to l3oneday.com and just click the contact section. So that's it, leader. More than anything, I love you and I believe in your growth, and I want to see you grow your leadership. I want to see you grow your network and grow your future. So make sure that annual leadership conferences are a part of that growth journey, and I'd be honored if you allowed L3 One Day to be a big part of that journey as well. So hope to see you at the conference in February. Can't wait. And thanks for allowing me to come into your life this week and add value to you. I'll talk to you next episode. Hey leader, thank you so much for listening to my lesson on why you need to attend L3 One Day, and I really do hope that you'll attend. Again, you can register and get all the information that you need at l3oneday.com. Again, that's l3oneday.com. And as always, leader, I want to challenge you that if you want to 10x your growth this year, then you need to either launch or join an L3 Leadership Mastermind Group. Mastermind groups are simply groups of 6 to 12 leaders that meet together on a consistent basis for at least 1 year in order to help each other grow, hold each other accountable, and to do life together. For me personally, mastermind groups have been the greatest source of growth in my life over the last 8 years. So if you're interested in learning more about launching or joining a group, go to l3leadership.org/masterminds or email me at dougsmith@l3leadership.org. And as always, leader, I like to end every episode with a quote, and I will quote Craig Rochelle today. He said this, he said, "Your life is too valuable, your calling too great, and your God too awesome to waste your life on what doesn't matter." Make sure you're living a life and focusing on what matters, leaders. It makes a difference. Well, I hope that this episode encouraged you. Know that my wife Laura and I love you. We believe in you, and I say it every episode, but don't quit. Keep leading. The world desperately needs your leadership. We'll talk to you next episode.